G'day guys, here we are drawing video number 6, I think it is, 6? Yeah, probably 6, where we're going to go over how to do the draw and the draw front, and then, size that so we can put that and, fit it in. When you actually make the draw, when you're making this project in the workshop, you'll be putting runners on it for the draws to actually slide in and out. Runners are pretty tricky to draw in SketchUp. You can download some from the 3D warehouse, but like I said in the last video, I haven't actually got access to the 3D warehouse because it won't let me log in for some reason. So I'm just going to put them in the position that they're supposed to be in for this video, and then yeah, when you guys are in the workshop, you can just install those and put the runners on. Which the position of the runners aren't really super important in a workshop drawing. You can do that as a craftsman. You can put those on. So the overall size of our draw is 400 by 400. It's 140 wide, and the base is 384 by 384, 3mm ply. Okay, so we've got a fair few dimensions or information in there for the groove for the base, but we'll put that in right at the end when we're finished. So if you have been following along with all these videos, you'll remember there was an error while reading. What's that about? Hang on a sec. Let me get the booklet back up. CAD Activities, CAD Activity booklet. Here we are. Yeah, so if you remember following along, we've actually done a draw exactly like this previously. So if you follow along with that video, you should have no problems drawing this draw. This one's even easy because I've drawn it with 3 dovetails, and the other one's 5. But and again, I think it says here you can customize it. Let me just get this back to counterclockwise and view read mode. There we go. Yeah, so we can put in kind of whatever dovetails we want. I'm just realizing I don't think I actually put in a dimension for the thickness of the timber in this drawing. It's 19mm, in case you're wondering. Just the same as everything else we've been doing here. Standard 19mm radiata pine. Yeah. So again, we'll draw this away from the rest of the bedside table. We'll grab the rectangle tool, hover over the origin point, and then we can go out and we can go out on the green axis and see how it's snapped on there. We can then click, and we're going to put in a piece of 19,400, enter, and we'll push this down 140, enter. Okay, so let's triple click it, 1, 2, 3, right click, make component. This will be raw side, and we'll call it tails because we'll do the part that has the tails on it first. Okay, so let's double click and we'll do one side first. So the first thing we got to do is measure in 19mm. That's what we're going to be joining to, and we'll draw a pencil line straight across on the blue axis. Okay, now I guess we could just copy this. If you want to put in 4 dovetails, you can. 5 dovetails, you can. I'll show you how I've calculated this one with 3 dovetails. So we got to, because there's 3 dovetails, this tail here is going to be on line up with the center point. They'll be evenly spaced. So the midpoint is at 70. I'll hit 70, enter. Then I just need to decide on the I guess the width of the top of that tail. So the width of that, I don't know. Let's see. We could probably make we'll go 16 out this way, 16 out this way. That looks like a pretty good size. So that'll give us a 32mm dovetail overall. Yeah. So let's see if we can use some maths. We've got 140mm from top to bottom, and we need to fit 3 tails in that are 32mm each. So 32 times 3, that means 96mm will be taken up by the tails. So if I go 140 minus 96, that gives us 44mm left over. And from the leftover, we need to put in 1, 2, 3, 4 pins. So I guess we could make each of the pins 11mm. That'll probably work. So from here, I'll go 11 and measure 11. And then from here, we'll go 30, what was it, 32? Yep. And 32. and then we should have a gap of 11 left over. Yep. Now, normally with dovetails, the shoulder pins would be half the center pins, but you can do it so they're the same. I think this one might have even been drawn so they're the same. It's a bit hard to tell. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. It just goes, it's up to you as the craftsman. You decide what pitch, what size, and everything you want. So I guess we'll do a 1 to, this is softwood, and generally with softwood you do a 1 to 6 slope, which is a, what was that, 9.5 degrees, 9.5. And then we'll go on the red axis, click, and we'll hit 9.5. And then we can just trace that. So from here to there, here to there. We can then grab the select tool, click on that, hold down shift, click on that, grab the move tool, hit control and move that down to there, hit control again, move that down to there. Quick and easy way to get your dovetails in. So because this is the tailboard, we need to push these bits out. But first, we're just going to select all of these lines, hold down shift to deselect the faces because we don't need those. And we're going to copy that. So hit control, grab the move tool, then hit control. See, we grab these lines. We need to move it somewhere out of the way. Then we're going to right click and flip it along the, I want to say red direction. Damn it. Right, green direction. There we go. And then just move that straight into the corner. And did I miss the corner there? I think I did. It looks like that's hanging over a bit. Let me just hit Control Z again. Whoa, hang on. Make sure I've got it all selected and then move it. Make sure I get it right in the corner. Endpoint, perfect. Right, hopefully that's done it correctly. Okay, so we grab the push pull tool now and we're going to push away that, and that. Same here. Get rid of those. Okay, and yeah, those dovetails look pretty good. I think that's a decent size. So now we're going to erase those 6 lines because we don't need them. Make sure they didn't come up on the back. Nope. Okay, fantastic. So that is the front and back piece done, I guess, or that's our tailboard done. We need to multiply that one other time. But first of all, see how we've got the little groove in? So it's for a 3mm plywood base. That means the groove will need to be 3mm. It's 18mm from the bottom and 10mm deep. All right, so that's pretty easy to do. We'll say that this face here is the inside face. We'll go from the bottom of the drawer. How high up did it say? 18mm. 18mm from the bottom. Got that guide point there. We'll come along on the green axis all the way to the edge, which is 19mm. Okay, so we're going to go 10mm deep, and it's a 3mm groove. So go up 3. Okay, grab the rectangle tool and go from here to here, and we can push that all the way through. And there is the groove for our base to go in. All right, so that's all done. We can go edit, delete guides, and exit that component. And no, we won't paint it just yet, not until we've done the pins as well. So for the pins, or should we should probably make a copy first. So it's 400mm from edge to edge, so we need to leave a 400mm gap. So there's our 400mm gap. We need to make a copy of this piece, so grab the move tool, hit control, move it along that line. We need to rotate it 180 degrees so the groove is facing in. I can get it on 90. There we go. Then I need to grab this corner with the move tool and get it right over the guide point. There we go. So from outside edge or outside face to outside face is now 400mm. All right. Now to put the pin board in, pretty easy. This is actually the easier part, way easier than drawing the tails. We just go from this corner here along this way, and we need a piece that's 140, 19, enter, and we're going to push it all the way to the other side like that. We triple click, right click, make component, and call it draw broadside, and we'll call this pins. Broadside pins. Double click it now to edit it, and we can just simply trace those lines like that, easy as. And just to make things even a little bit easier, we will highlight those and we will deselect the faces. And I think I can keep those lines, it shouldn't matter. We can grab that point there. Oh, bugger, hold on. Hit Control and grab that. So I've got those lines. Did I get them all? No, I've missed one. How did I miss one? Anyway, you know what? I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to push these in and trace them on the other side. It's easier. Double click. Whoops, wrong way. There we go. Turn around to the other side and trace those ones as well. So yeah, sometimes some things you do can save you a lot of time, but sometimes it's easier just to go through and do your click, click, click and get it done. All right, there we go. So can I double click those? I can. Perfect. Okay, so that's all good. Now to put the groove in for this one, I think we should be fine to just go with the pencil tool, click at the top of that groove, orbit around, click at the top of that groove, and then same thing over here. Click on the bottom of that groove, and there we go. We should be able to push that in. And how deep's the groove? 10 millimeters. There we go. Okay, so that's that pin board done. We'll just quickly, no, I'll do it at the end. We'll grab this, hit Control, make a copy of it. We want to rotate it around 180 degrees or until it says 0. Perfect. Grab it on the corner and put it right in. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's just paint them to make sure that everything fits all right. We'll paint them in different colors first, just to make sure the joins look all good. We can't see any overlaps or anything. Nope, that looks perfect. So let's make them all pine. There we go. Okay, now to put the base in, we'll do it the same way we did it on the mantle clock if you watch that one. We will move this piece up. Let's say, I don't know, we'll just move it up 200 mil to get it out of the way. And we will go with a rectangle tool. We'll click from here to down the bottom here, and then we'll push that little rectangle in all the way to the back face, which is 381 millimeters, and then we need to go in another 10 millimeters, right? So we've got to go 381 plus 10, which is 391. Is that right? Yeah, it should be right. 391, and then we've got to go out this way 10 millimeters as well, because it's got to go into the other piece. So there's the base in, and we should be able to move this piece down 200 millimeters. And whoop, that is way too big. What happened there? Why did that not work? Okay, hang on. That's because, yeah, sorry. We need to actually go 10 millimeters along this way from the top of that pin, and that's where this piece has to finish. It's got to finish there. So, because yeah, the base actually won't be able to come all the way to the end of this pin because on that tail, because this pin's going to be in the way. And that's probably the same on the other side, because at the moment, oh no, that's okay. See, that's what we want it to look like, just like that. Okay, so that should look the same on both sides when we move this down 200 millimeters. Yep, perfect. Okay, so that's the base in. We'll paint it, make it look like ply, and there we go. Okay, so when we've made a drawer, the sort of science behind using dovetails for a drawer is that you want this pin board here to be the front of your drawer, because if you think about it, first thing I'll do is I'll make all of this a group. I click make group so it all moves together. You're going to be pulling the drawer out like this in this direction, right? Always like this, in and out along that way. So the reason you use a dovetail is because you're pulling this piece forward, and because we've got these angled slopes here, there's no way this joint could ever work itself loose, because you've got a mechanical yeah, you've got a mechanical kind of stoppage there. That slope won't actually allow you to pull this pin board out. That's the benefit of using dovetails in a drawer. Whereas if we just had like a straight joint, like a finger joint or a box pin, eventually the glue will crack over time, and you could sort of wiggle that loose. Whereas dovetails should never do that. So yeah, that's why we use dovetails. So we need to actually rotate this around 90 degrees so it's facing the right way. Yep, and we'll move it just over here. And we've got to put the drawer front on. Now, the drawer front, there's two ways we can do it. We want it to be 173 from top to bottom, but the overall dimension, like of the length of it, or width that way, could differ depending on if we want the drawer front to sort of sit in flush with the cabinet. So from like here to here, for example. So what's that? That'll be 173, comma, what was it, 422? Yeah. So if we want to have the drawer front like that, or if we want to have the drawer front like this, 173, comma, 460, right? So if you want to have your drawer front going like this, about 19 millimeters, you can do it that way. Or if you want to have it like this, those dimensions will change. So that's just up to you. I think I'd probably prefer to have them to have it sitting on the front like that. I prefer that as opposed to this one. So I'll probably just triple click that, delete it, and triple click that, right click, make it a component, call it drawer front. There we go. Now I can move this over to just some blank space for now to decorate it, because I think it should say somewhere, student to design their own custom drawer front using pine and Meranti or whatever darker timber you want to use. So to do that, it's just a matter of drawing a shape on and painting it. So if you did like a diagonal sort of timber pattern on the top, you might want to do a diagonal timber pattern on your drawer front. If you did a checkerboard, you might want to do the same on your drawer front. I'll just show you how I've done this one here. To do that, I go into the component, and I think it's probably, I don't know, maybe 30 millimeters in and 30 millimeters down. Look about right? Yeah, that looks about right. 30 in and 30 up. I'll draw a rectangle from there to there, like that. And I do the exact same on the back. And a quick way to do that is to draw a line along this way, 19 millimeters, same from that tape measure mark, 19 millimeters, and that gives me those marks on the back, which I can then just trace with the rectangle tool. I can then grab the paint bucket, and this is a little bit tedious, but I can paint that, and then I can go through and paint all of these surfaces to be darker, like that. Okay, so that's how I, customize the drawer front. If you want to do it different, if you want to do diagonals, draw diagonal lines in. I'm not going to go through a long video on how to do that. This video is probably already long enough. So that's how you, customize your drawer front. So to get this in the position we want, we need to grab the bottom corner and line it up with the bottom corner here. We then need to measure this gap because we want it to be perfectly centered. So what's that? 33 millimeters. So half of 33 is, 16 and a half probably. So move this down on the blue axis, 16.5. Right. Then we measure this gap, which is 60. So we need to move it along this way, 30 millimeters. Okay. So now that drawer is perfectly centered on the piece. Why is that not painted? Did I not make that a component, or did I not paint it? I don't think I made that a component base. That would be why. So let me paint that quickly. Oh yeah, because we do the base it with plywood, which would be a darker timber, wouldn't it? Come on, there we go. Okay, cool. So that is now done. We can now make all of this drawer a group. So we can highlight the whole thing. We'll go right click, make group. So that's all going to move together at the same time. And we can move this bottom corner to this bottom corner over here, right? And then we need to make a copy of this one. We probably want to have a, just like a little 10mm gap in between the two drawers. And then we'll grab the move tool, hit control, and make a copy of that whole drawer, move it up here. Right, then we can move this shelf down, probably in line with the top of that drawer. There we go. That's a pretty clean looking drawer. You might want to go around and put a routed edge on the drawer fronts if you want. That's just up to you on how you want to customize it. But now looking at that, I think I'd probably prefer the drawer fronts to sit in flush like that. I think that actually looks a bit better, don't you? Than sitting on the front, because look, it's sort of hanging over the front there. I don't think it looks very particularly nice. Yeah, if I was to do it again, I'd probably change that so they sit in. And like I showed you how to do that before, you've just got to make this a little bit smaller, design it however you want, and put it in. So with the, I think that's the bedside table finished now. You can go to the 3D warehouse if you want and put some drawer pulls on, or you could draw your own drawer pulls. I've shown you how to do that in the mantle clock. I'll quickly show you how to do it now, even though this video is probably already too long. You'd go with the measuring tape from here to here. So we've got the center. We can measure out, I don't know, let's say 70mm that way and 70mm that way. Then we can get the pencil tool. We can go out along the red axis. I think 30mm would be good. Go along the green axis, hold down shift, go in line with this guide point, click and click, and hit escape. We can then grab the circle tool and put a circle in with a radius of, let's see, maybe I think 8mm looked good last time. Then we can grab the follow me tool, click on this, and follow this profile here, right? And that puts a nice little draw pull on for you. You can triple click on that, right click, make component, draw pull, save it, paint it in the colors. I think there's a gold if you want to paint it gold, or you can do it silver or whatever tickles your fancy. And there we go. So we can move this one, make a copy of it, and move it down. And how far will that be? Looks like probably 182mm. You could fill around and make sure it's perfectly in the middle, but for now that'll do, just for an example. Okay, so let's go edit, delete guides. I can click away from that, and yeah, there is a bedside table. Those obviously look a little bit tacky. You could, if you want, go crazy and draw something like that, or just pinch one from the 3D warehouse. Up to you. But yeah, there's your bedside table, guys. If you followed along, good work. And that's the end of the booklet. That's the last video. How good's that? Eventually, I will draw some more. I'll design some more projects and do some more tutorial videos. So keep an eye out for those ones. But yeah, good work, guys.